Aussie foods that non-Australians may find weird. Fairy floss. Now, I am aware this is not Australian, okay? But the fact that we call it fairy floss is apparently a full argument the other day with a British person who tried to call it candy floss or something. This is a golden gay time. That is not a joke. That is what they're called. Their ice cream's covered in like biscuit. It's delicious. 10 out of 10 recommend. One of my favorites for sure. Also an ice cream on a stick, Bubbly Bill. Don't know why he's called that, but his nose is made out of bubblegum. Can't go wrong, really. These things are Anzac biscuits. They originated back in like the war time. They're made out of like oats and golden syrup and flour and stuff. Called Anzac biscuits because the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. Anzacs. Beetroot. Now, I thought beetroot was just a common food item, but apparently Australians are really weird about the fact that we put it on everything. If you're allowed to put pineapple on a pizza and ruin a perfectly good pizza, I'm allowed to put beetroot on a burger, and you can't say anything about it. Just saying. Lamingtons. Now, this is essentially a sponge cake covered in chocolate. It's not icing, like sauce. I don't really know. And then covered in desiccated coconut. Looks like this, is delicious. Sometimes served with cream and jam in the middle, like a really bougie scone. If you hear an Aussie say, oh, we're gonna have Dirty Bird for dinner, they're talking about KFC. Why we call it that, I don't know. I guess because it's like fried chicken. Anyway, I could go on all day about Aussie food, so let me know if you like more parts. Let me know what your favorite Aussie foods are. And let me know if you have these foods overseas too.
Okay, welcome in. I thought I'd just share that. That girl cracks me up so much. She just puts out these little clips here and there that are just super amusing. I've just been sitting here reading updates and stuff here on Parker. I have got an update here to share with people, but I just want to go through. First of all, should probably welcome people in. So welcome Bonza, Charlotte, Women's Warrior, Unky, Ariel, probably Camilla, if you're here. I can't see you. I just want to start bringing up some of what Charlotte's been sharing here about Parker. So where do we start? Okay, first of all, thank you for getting out there and searching, because it's always a huge, huge thing of importance. So that sounds like a big area in the heat. I hope you made sure you stayed hydrated. Okay, this is the thing I wanted to bring up. So there are multiple cameras, but the police have released only 2 that are 45 minutes apart. There are others that are too poor quality to be released. That makes sense. That makes complete sense. And that, yeah, I put that map up yesterday. I'll see if I've still got it. Because he really was, he's got to be there. He's got to be in that location, because he was just circling. Here we go. I'll pull that down for a second. So he's made a really direct route, and then he's reached one location and circled. Love to know. I wish we could know what was going on in his head. Oh yeah. I actually have that on my iPad, but now that I've started the live stream, it won't let me send it across. I was going to play the play the press conference, and I forgot about that. I do have some clips. You found everyone then, Bonzo. Welcome in, Fred. Good to see you. Okay, so hang on, I'll just delete that so I don't actually accidentally click on it again. Brief Parker update. They're still looking. They're still desperately hoping to find him. What can you say? Poor little man. I'm so worried. We're up to a week now.
Parker Wells is still missing. He went missing exactly a week ago today. Police say there's still a belief Parker can be found alive, and efforts to find him are not being scaled back.
These cabinets are plenty big enough for a small person to hide, especially if they don't have shelves inside. Any bins you may have that store water, garbage, or recycling. Take a couple seconds and have a quick look.
So Calgary police posting a video showing possible hiding spots that residents should check on their properties. That includes hot tubs, under decks, and inside sheds. Parker was last seen just before 1 o'clock last Thursday afternoon. He was shirtless at the time, wearing dark shorts and black headphones. Wells is being described as neurodivergent and nonverbal. Officers are also going door to door asking people for permission to search inside of their homes. So joining me now is Chief Executive Officer of the Missing Children Society of Canada, Amanda Pick. Amanda, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about this. In cases like Parker's, when a vulnerable child goes missing, what do you think should be the response from police and officials?
I think we're seeing the response, and I believe that is sharing with the community ways that they can help immediately find Parker. And I think that's what happens, and we see that every single time the risk escalates on a case like Parker's or a missing child case, to the extent that police actively engage the community in the search.
So talk to us about what other steps could have been taken. We know that Alberta's Amber Alert system is reserved primarily for child abductions, but police did activate the Missing Children Society of Canada's Child Search Network within the first 24 hours of this investigation. What else do you think could be done to help in cases like this?
Well, I think the Amber Alert activation is historically used for abduction cases, and I think Canadians often wonder what the criteria is and why alerts like Amber Alert are activated for some cases, or other alerts are used for cases that don't meet the Amber Alert threshold. And what we saw in Calgary was police using investigation to do risk assessment, and as the risk escalated, they were making decisions around utilizing alert systems. And so, yes, our system was used, the Child Search Network, and that is because we've worked with the Calgary Police and police partners across the country for many years to ensure that every child who is missing has the same opportunity to have the community actively engaged, watching for them and helping to bring them home safely. And in Alberta, we're thankful to the Alberta government. They've made a recent investment in this system because they see the gap too. And what we know is Canadians respond when a child is vulnerable and they need us to find them. And this is what's happening in Calgary. We are seeing unprecedented groups coming together, not just communities, but search groups and first responders. And we're standing with the Calgary Police and Parker's family to ensure that we don't stop searching, we don't lose hope, and we do everything possible to find him.
So, Amanda, as you said there, Amber Alerts are issued in the case when we believe that there might be an abduction or something like that. And in this case, there wasn't an alert until 48 hours after his disappearance. Do you think that system overall should be changed?
I think that we're going to be coming up to answering some of those questions for cases like Parker's. But I think the most important thing that we can do right now is focus on Parker and finding him. The opportunity to use every single tool is what police make sure that they have available to them when they need it. And that's what we saw with Calgary Police. That's what we see with our police partners across the country. We want to make sure that anytime a child is missing, that the community is aware so that they can help. And that's why we built the Child Search Network with our partners, Esri Canada and Microsoft, and our police partners, because we really want to ensure that every case of a missing child receives the full community activation. And thankfully, why we're talking about it right now is because we care. We want to be able to work together and find missing children and use all the tools that are available, because that's what children deserve when they are missing.
Yeah, definitely. I think all Canadians right now are wishing Parker and his family the best right now, as well as investigators and detectives in this case. And as you said there, we're hoping that all Calgarians can come together and aid in the search if possible. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you.
The RPAS call.
Okay, I'll pause there. Welcome in everyone who's come in while we've been watching that. Daisy May, good to see you in here. Honestly, just whatever entity you believe in, Parker needs our prayers right now. This little man needs to be found. It's frightening. It's been a week. Like, he's got to be somewhere. Oh, that would be great, Charlotte. Yeah. Yeah, we just need to be hoping and praying for this little fella. Like, a week is a long time. The 48 hours in terms of getting that Amber Alert out, that's really disturbing. Lily and Jack, they had made an announcement around lunchtime, and they put out a vulnerable missing persons alert at 4:55, the same day that they were reported missing. Even that's a long time, because that's still nearly 7 hours after they were reported missing. And when you look at missing children, if you have an abduction case, the first 3 hours are crucial. I can't remember the percentage, but it's a really, really high percentage. And I'm not saying that Parker's been abducted, but what I'm saying here is that the minute a child is discovered missing, there needs to be awareness, because if you're looking at an abduction case, most children, when it comes to stranger abductions, are deceased within the first 3 hours. Now, this isn't the case, obviously, with Parker. He's gone to ground somewhere. But if you look at the time frame, he was still on the move in the first hour. People didn't notice Parker because he was just strolling down the street. But if that agency that was supposed to be looking after him, that was supposed to be keeping him safe, had have started things rolling straight away, had have noticed that he was missing straight away, not half an hour later, there could have been alerts going out, like non-intrusive alerts for people to keep an eye out for him, and someone might have seen him. That's the thing. Look at Michael Vaughan. Parker has covered a huge area. He could easily have ended up just walking past the wrong house. No cameras around at the time. How are they going to know? That's the biggest fear that I have. Michael Vaughan was gone so quickly when he wandered off. And when it is a crime of opportunity like that, it can happen so very quickly. Yeah, I was looking at, there was footage yesterday of people on horseback searching for him. And it was very grassy, looked like it was a big hill, looked like somewhere where he could hide in the grass. good to see more people coming in. Welcome in, Janice, Sam. I know I've missed a few people. I'm trying to keep up, but now I haven't had a chance to check it out, but Charmaine is all over Parker's case as well. So if you do keep an eye on Charmaine's channel, usually, please do stay for my live stream, but check out her content in terms of Parker, especially if she is a former local. Help me out. My brain has just short-circuited in terms of Charmaine's channel. Okay, if someone can throw that up in chat, and I'll put it up, because my brain just completely, I just think Charmaine, I just find her channel when I'm looking for it. So I forget what it's called. But yeah, so Charmaine is also talking about Parker. She's also been doing a little bit about Darius as well as Jack and Lily. So hop over and have a look at some point in time. I can always put a post up after this for anyone who is wanting more insight into the area, because I didn't know that Charmaine was from around there. Now there is this video, and I'll pull this down for now. This is a video that they put out on their Facebook page, and I'll put the full version out later. But I wanted to just play what I've got here. Oh, wow. 3 boys nearly abducted today near where you live. 57-year-old man was caught. Young people ran and called police. Exactly. I mean, you just have to look at there's so many cases. I mean, the Amber Alert itself comes from my gosh, Amber Hagerman. Sorry, for a moment there I lost the name. It is, thank you. Amber Hagerman was in broad daylight, pulled off her bike by some guy and was gone just like that. By the time her family got to where she'd been riding her bike, she was gone, the bike was left. And then they found her body 3 days later. It's just frightening, the possibilities. All right, okay. So Charmaine's actually finished for now. So yeah, please do stick around for me first. But for if you want an insider's or a local's view when it comes to Parker's case, then her channel is Char's True Crime Stories. She's one of the good guys. She's in it for all the right reasons. So if you're interested, hop over there later on. Yes, now that was mentioned in the latest press conference yesterday. They said that he is capable, if he's got into somebody's house, like someone who's away on holiday or something, he's capable of getting himself a tap. He's capable of opening the fridge and getting himself food. So they're actually asking, for people to check if they've got neighbours away, check with their neighbours to get people to check their houses if they're, not if they're away on holiday or something. I'm not sure what to think of that. Some very friendly people in her life today. I probably don't want to know. Definitely probably don't want to know, especially not while I'm live. Okay, let's watch this and then we'll head on to Jack and Lily.
Coordinator for CPS. I'm out in the field busy helping out Constable Kavanagh. He is flying the drone and I am what we would call the visual observer or the spotter. And so currently we are flying overhead of a creek and flying very, very slowly so that we can see if we can pick up any anomalies either in the water or along the riverbanks. If I see something that looks out of place, and if it's something that warrants a closer look, we'll contact one of the search teams on the ground. Because of how big and busy Calgary is, having the drone allows us to spread out those resources so much better than we otherwise would. The drone with its high zoom camera or its thermal capabilities basically does the work of potentially several dozen people on the ground. And so it allows us to better utilize resources that we have.
It's so bizarre. Hang on, give me a sec. Sorry, bit of asthma last night and I'm still getting the after effects. So bizarre hearing someone speaking with what sounds like a South African accent in Canada. Like, I'm not saying, you know, South Africans can't be in Canada, but when you're looking at Canada news media and the person is speaking with a South African accent. I think he just said that they were flying over the water. But they certainly have the capacity. They do have, I believe, those sort of remote drones that can go underwater or at least go on the water and scan. So, you know, they're pulling out all the stops. They really are. That creek is very shallow. No, you're not a distraction because right now we're talking about Parker. So all this additional information, and also because I forgot to pull the press conference across onto this computer from my iPad, so I can't show that. And if I try, you know what it's like. If I try and bring it up on YouTube or something, I'm just going to cause problems. Yeah, so they've said that he locks doors behind him. They've said that he can fit into small spaces that you may not even consider that he could get into. Shah showed footage of the creek, long grass, sudden drop into rather deep water. Wow. I should have got up earlier so I could have actually watched her live stream and caught some of that. Welcome in, Deborah. You're fine. I was late as well because I was just about to hit go live and I suddenly realized I hadn't loaded any media up onto my StreamYard. So it's all good. Calgary Police are highlighting all the groups they're using: dog teams, horses, drones. Yeah. What I found interesting in yesterday's press conference was when he was asked about dogs and had they taken dogs to the area where his clothing was found, I think. And he basically said at that point in time that it had been like too much contamination from other people being there, which to me makes me question if they've actually got scent-specific dogs there. Because that could make a huge difference. They know his last location. There have to be scent-specific dogs somewhere there anywhere in Canada if they haven't used them. I mean, yeah, maybe he was talking about scent-specific dogs, and maybe there was just too many people around to have kept the scent. But yeah. Oh, I hope you haven't been harassed in other people's live streams, Bonza. That's just pathetic if it is. What happened to being here for the kids? Jack and Lily, for Parker, for all those other children. I really wonder what sort of souls these people have. The crap you see on YouTube right now, people need to take a really good look at themselves in the mirror, in my opinion. Well, that's what I'm worrying about, Grover. You know, Jack and Lily, they told Belinda the same thing. Oh, it's not like it's in the movies. Well, if you go to Australia or America, we have scent-specific dogs. But yeah, I mean, there were so many people out searching that it could have made it harder to track his individual scent. But we're talking about dogs that are specifically trained. I mean, if they can train like electronics detection dogs to smell electronic bits, you know, SD cards, whatever, that are hidden in walls, then surely even if there's been 20, 30, 100 people walking in that area, there's got to be still traces of his specific scent. Welcome in, Lizette. So that's what baffles me. Just it seems that in some areas Canada is perhaps a little bit behind in terms of capacity, searching capacity. I mean, have they thought about contacting Texas EquiSearch? Because honestly, this would be a case where I could see Tim, Dave, Twyla, all of them just dropping everything and being on a plane right now, like today, to be there to help with the search. I mean, maybe it's another Canadian agency that don't want to deal with an American agency that don't want outside agencies. But, you know, there's a massive resource that could be called upon straight away. Yeah. Michelle After Dark is amazing. Her dogs are just incredible. Yeah, well, you saw the video that I shared several weeks back when I was talking about the different types of dogs. Hot pavement doesn't hold scents really well. We do. It shouldn't matter I know things aren't great between Canada and the United States. I mean, they're not great between Australia and the United States. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about missing kids, it shouldn't matter. And when you're looking at agencies like Texas EquiSearch, they're the best of the best. So it really should be. Oh, good. Good to know that. Very good to know that. Michelle is. Yeah, she's I never get a lot of time to watch other people's content anymore. But I just love watching her dogs. I love just, when she's just talking about cases and just watching her dogs. I started watching her with Summer's case way back when, which I think was when she started her channel. Sorry, yawning again. Yeah. Dogs are... Was it very long? I'll probably get ads if I tried to bring it up. I hate ads. I was thinking, maybe I should try and get into YouTube anyway. But that just ends in failure. It ends in something going wrong. I will go and have a look at it definitely though. Yeah. I watched her up until the point when things just started going stupid with Summer's case. And when all the stupidity started and it was less about Summer, I stopped watching pretty much all those channels. I have gone back and watched bits of Michelle's content here and there when she's been on cases that I've been following. But I just haven't had the time. There's so many channels that I've followed since they were itty bitty channels, and like Grizzly, Michelle, Chris, Josh, all of them, and they put out such good content, but I never get the time to watch them. Oh, I hope you're feeling better soon, little black bear. Yeah. I was so exhausted the other day that I went and had a lie down before dinner for an hour, and both my chihuahuas just came and lay on top of me doing that sort of weighted blanket thing. So they know when they sense everything, I swear. I haven't really followed the Jay Slater case, so yeah, I followed Michelle with Summer, and I've gone back and watched things here and there with Jack and Lily, and I think there's probably a few other times that I've been back, but yeah, not as much as I should. Okay, sorry, just reading comments again. Yeah, I think we all seem to be hitting a wall at the moment. Cats make the best weighted blankets. Unless, of course, they decide to do that whole making mince pies on you when they're lying on top of you with the claws out. I had a cat that used to do that. Come and lie on top of you and get all comfortable, and then suddenly they're doing that patty paws thing and the claws are out and you're getting claws stuck into you. But yeah, pets do make the best weighted blankets. That's for sure. Okay, I'll pull that from Stage. They make these really cool weighted toys now that you can buy. Like, they're like soft toys that have weights in all the right places, and you can actually use them as like the same sort of thing, like a weighted blanket or a soothing thing for anxiety. And like, you know, they're like for children, teenagers and adults. I don't need one of them because I've got chihuahuas. I heard it got quite toxic. Probably the reason why I steered away from it. I don't understand how some cases get as toxic as these ones do. I had a cat that used to do that. Sometimes Amira does that. She'll come and she'll sleep kind of up behind my head. And the problem with that is then I kind of get pushed off the pillow and wake up the next morning with a really sore neck. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a weighted blanket. I think they're really good from everything I've heard. I actually wouldn't mind getting one of those weighted soft toys as well. Because they're like, there's one brand that I don't think we've got them here in Australia. If you get them in Australia, they're like mega expensive. They're called like Hugimals or something. And they're like, the way they're weighted, they actually kind of ooze up against your body and just give this comforting weight and everything. And they're supposed to be really good just for calming and comfort and stuff like that. One of those or a weighted blanket I would certainly love. My sister has a Devon Rex because my nephew was allergic to cats, and now she's just become a Devon Rex person, even though the kids are all moved out. That's why I think I'd probably prefer one of the soft toys as opposed to a weighted blanket, because I'm so very much so sensory with things. Like I do love the weight of, like, if one of the chihuahuas is lying on top of me, but I think if it was a weighted blanket, I would feel trapped. But, you know, they certainly have their benefits. It's just about finding the right thing for you, I guess. Okay, let's get back into Daniel. And I might just, hang on. I need to have a really good yawn right now. Well, that could. Soft toys for pillows. That's always good too. Maybe he could cocoon himself in a weighted blanket. My chihuahuas steal the blanket quite often because that's what they do, because they're heat seekers. Okay. What more can you say? Okay, I'm just going to put something up just quickly. Let me see. Just a quick one.
Come on, Anita. What did you
come
get
on,
angry?
Janie.
Why
Come
you
on,
start some of
Janie.
your
Come
comments?
on, Janie. Come on, Janie. Tell the truth. Come on, Janie. Come on, Janie. Come on, Janie. Come on, Janie. Tell the truth. Come on, Janie. Come on, Janie. They
And
never
another
told me
thing
to be
is,
silent.
and another
Not
thing is,
true. Not true. Not true. Not
oh, that's
true.
bull,
They never
that's
told me to be
bullshit.
silent. Not true. You're involved.
No, honey,
You're
you didn't
involved.
trigger me.
You're involved.
No, honey,
You're
you didn't
involved.
trigger
You're
me.
involved. And you're lying. Lying. Lying.
Honey,
Lying. Lying.
honey, you
Are
didn't
you
trigger
dumb?
me. Man.
Don't go on Mike's show. Don't listen, dummy. Dummy.
My
No,
God,
my
my God,
God,
my
a
God.
liar, a
Well,
liar, a
next time,
liar. You're a liar, liar, liar. I'm not under investigation. I'm not under investigation. I'm not under investigation. You're
well,
lying.
you
You're
know,
lying.
all
You're
the
a
company and
liar.
you
You're a
keep
liar.
calling
You're
them.
a
You
liar.
keep
You're a
saying that. You
liar.
keep.
Sorry, I think we all need weighted blankets now. Here I am talking about ways of de-stressing. And I throw that up and just send everyone into a spiral. So true. So true. Oh dear. Honestly, that woman is complete, utter loony, and I can't believe they haven't shut her down. And yeah, exactly. It hasn't fixed the yawning, but at least it's got me awake. Yeah, I think I know that's disturbing, isn't it? When I listened to that thing, it was like I was so team Janie. Well, I've got under my desk here, I've got heated beds for the chihuahuas. And because it's an IKEA desk, so it's got, you know, all the little nooks and crannies and stuff. So it's got a little ledge right at the back where there's one bed, and then it's got, like, on the floor, I've got another bed. So they're kind of stacked up on levels. So when I'm doing a live stream, I've actually got my feet on the side of one of those dog beds. So I'm actually benefiting from the heated dog bed at the same time. It's nice. But, you know, I actually wouldn't mind like a weighted blanket for when I go live or something like that, because I'm so much of I'm that real neurodivergent person who just loves blankets, loves wrapping up in blankets. The only thing with being here at my desk is that Amira doesn't get to snuggle in as well, because obviously she can't sit at my desk. But yeah. Welcome in, Rita. Okay, let's jump into Jack and Lily. So I've put the link for Sunny's channel. If you are not familiar with Sunny's channel, it is A Criming Shame. And that is... Oh, geez, I'm so disorganized today. So disorganized. I should have got that and put that into my playlist. I must do that for tomorrow. I need to activate my brain earlier tomorrow. Yeah, it's headed towards spring. We are. I find it bizarre that other countries, their seasons don't start like at the beginning of the month, because 1st of September is spring for us. And here in Bendigo, it pretty much is. Like, I've never lived somewhere where all of a sudden it's like 1st of September and the weather goes, okay, let's turn to spring. But yeah, so not long now. And honestly, once we get through July, the weather we start getting better weather. It's just been so overcast and so wet here for so long. Yeah, I used to have a heated blanket as well for the dogs, but they don't last as well. When you wash them, the wiring somehow deteriorates. But my chihuahuas just love their heated beds, and I've got it set up where I've got like a proper heating pad bed on top, but underneath it's got one of those beds that's like set up to, it's like a self-heating one, so the heat kind of comes back out through it, so it just makes it really warm and cozy. Like when I'm live, Mouse gets under there and he just snuggles into the heated bed and falls asleep. And yesterday, after I finished my live, he was still there right through when I was eating my lunch because he just made himself so comfy, cozy and warm. The wattle's out. I always gauge it by when the wattle is out. And I was looking out the window the other day and we've got wattle trees in the street that I can see from my window, and they are covered in wattle. So that's always a positive sign that we're almost into spring. Yeah. There's no reason to attack the bus driver. The woman is, I swear she's got mental health issues. She should not be allowed on YouTube. And honestly, I'm at the point where I feel like actually calling out the RCMP in terms of the behaviours that they ignore in relation to this case. Anyway, won't go down that track. Lying with an ice pack in front of 4 fans. I remember those days over summer. So cold. It feels like the last week or so it just has not warmed up here at all. That's Melbourne. Go to Melbourne, don't like the weather, come back in 5 minutes. It'll be different. 4 seasons in one day in Melbourne, that's for sure. Okie dokie.
But when it comes back to, I just didn't know how to deal with the situation. It was a lot. Not having my children, not having Lily and Jack, having my family ripped apart. I never did anything, Sonny.
Well, go ahead.
It was a lot. And, you know, I like I said it before, like, I wasn't always there emotionally for Malaya when she needed me most. And
honestly, does my head in. I wasn't always there emotionally for Malaya when she needed me the most. He's trying to sound like he actually believes this shit. Excuse the language, that wasn't meant to come out. But now he's trying to act like he's seen the light. He's seen the error of his ways, and he's admitting that there's a song in that. Yeah, there probably is. I hope, because the things that go on with this case are just beyond ridiculous. I mean, why would you target a bus driver who every day carries these kids to school on his bus, and you're putting out bullshit like that? The things that have been said about Hayley, like, honestly, and the attacks on content creators, on people who subscribe to content creators, the attacks on Belinda and Chelsea. How can you justify that? Belinda's one of the few people who's actually come out in this case who truly cares about Lily and Jack. And people are attacking them. People are attacking Chelsea. This is her niece and nephew. And people think that's okay. And not only that, but people watch the content of these people who think it's okay to bully people, to put out false stories. It's yeah. It's ridiculous. I don't comment in anyone's chats anymore. I do watch other people's content, but I don't comment in their chats because it's just not safe to. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, that's the biggest thing. All the misinformation with Jack and Lily, it's not helping anything. And that's the biggest thing for me with Anita being allowed to continue. Because she's that sort of personality that she's going to continue, while she's got people listening, she's going to continue to come up with new stories that get her an audience. And the content creator who encourages her, it brings in money for him, so he just allows it. I mean, seriously, how can someone claim to be a statement analyst and then spend 3 months or more with this idiot on their channel who's making up pure fiction that the whole world can see it's fiction, but he still encourages it on a daily basis? I mean, I'm so grateful that people here are supportive of people in chat and that people can come in here and be safe in chat. You know, that's one thing, but I think I will have to debrief with you afterwards, Bonza, about what happened. I've heard of other people being bullied on other channels. I know there's been bullying happening on Justin's channel that his mods haven't dealt with. And, you know, as much as I love Justin, I think as a content creator, it's up to us to make sure that we are building and maintaining a safe community for our subscribers. So, you know, if as a content creator you can see that there's things going on in chat and maybe your mods are busy or maybe your mods haven't picked up on it, then it's on you to deal with it. Yeah. I really would like to see some other content creators actually stand up, grow some balls, and do something about the bullying that happens. Okay, let's get back to Daniel. Talking about him and his being Mr. Sensitive. Well, I haven't listened to that channel in a very, very long time. But it's my understanding that they were making accusations against him. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
And I said this on Charmaine's podcast, I had to take this last year and really grow as a person and try to figure out and piece the parts of my life back together.
Daniel really growing as a person. Really? Does anyone believe that? All Daniel has done over this last 12, 14 months is get better at coming up with BS stories. That's all it is. He's learned from listening to content creators. He's the ultimate chameleon. So each time Daniel comes out, he's learned from past experience. So, you know, all this Mr. Sensitive, I've learned stuff now, he's only saying that to pander to the audience. He's only saying that because he thinks it makes people feel sympathetic towards him. It's insane.
To where it seems somehow whole. It's like, as I said, I used the expression last time, it's just you're taking a mirror, you're looking at yourself, and then you smash the mirror, and then you're trying to pick up all the pieces so you can see your own reflection in the mirror, the person that you were or the person you want to be. But there's still cracks there.
Honestly, that's just BS therapy speak, in my opinion. Well, here's the thing, Karen. I paused here. Actually, he might have left that bit out of this one. When he did this whole mirror thing on Charmaine's channel, and he spoke about the mirror being shattered and cracked, he was speaking about there being blood all over the glass or something like that. And I found it really triggering. And it makes me wonder if he did smash something or, you know, a mirror or glass for the door, the front door area or something. It's not. And it just takes me to a place of the things we've heard about Daniel. It just straight up immediately makes me think that it's, it makes me think of violence happening in the home. Anyway, let's keep listening to that.
And it will never be the same. I'll never be the same. Malaya will never be the same. Cindy, I mean, my mother. And it's a very crazy situation. And we live it every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know how to conduct myself. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And
note here, his, again, this is this thing that he's been trying to do where he tries to include other people to make it sound like he's actually empathetic. So he's like, it'll never be the same. I'll never be the same. And then he's like, oh, okay, this is where I need to turn on empathy mode. So yeah, Malaya will never be the same, and Cindy will never be the same, and and my mother, he doesn't mean that. He's talking the talk. He knows that's what he's expected to say, so he puts it on. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, if you don't evolve in life, then life's pretty sad. I think Malaya's probably glad that she's not the same. Janie's probably miserable because she's not the same, because her son has destroyed her life. She doesn't get to see her grandchildren, and from listening to her, it does sound like she cares about her real grandchildren. And because of him, she doesn't get to see them. Yep. Exactly. What's really interesting is, I can't remember whether it's Kayla or Angela, one of the female reporters who's done quite a few interviews with him. If you look at the progression of interviews, you will see that they put themselves further and further away from him over time. I'm just so glad that, they clearly send a few cameramen out when they do interviews, because I think, I can't remember which interview it was, but one of the interviews, possibly with Angela, there was just this moment in the interview where it was sort of like red flag. Something he said was like warning, this guy really sounds kind of dangerous and scary. And you could actually tell that there was a reaction from her as well. Yeah, not a safe person to be around.
Yeah. Well, so
I feel more comfortable at this point, and that's why I can come on. And I said before I would never ever come on your lives ever again, and I would never talk to you. And I do think you remember me saying that, but yeah, it's I feel now that I don't feel any certain way when it comes to the public, because I don't fear judgment in any way. I'm desensitized to it, and
he doesn't fear judgment in any way. Name one instance. Now, I'm just trying to calculate how much audio I've got of Daniel. We're looking at over 10 hours worth of audio of Daniel doing interviews, Daniel popping up on live streams. And of that audio, how much of that is Daniel worrying about Daniel? It's all about Daniel, worrying about Daniel. What he's saying is complete, utter BS. Yeah. Exactly. He's concerned. He doesn't like that people don't believe him, that people don't buy into his manipulation, into his narratives. Welcome in, Sher. Because this is someone who is basically used to manipulating people, having people believe what he says. And it's thrown him for a loop. Oh, yeah. That he is. He is so fluent in bullshit ease. Oh, Unky, I'm glad of that. You are definitely one of us here, that's for sure. I mean, does he think people believe him? He's seriously, you nailed it. He's overconfident. They think they're untouchable. They think they're smarter than the RCMP. They think they're smarter than everybody. And he seems to think that if he goes and researches it on Google, that makes him an expert and that makes him untouchable. It's just insane. Yep. And that's the reason why he's acting like Mr. Sensitive. Because aside from his big blunder where he said, I can weaponize anything Malaya says, this is the typical narcissist strategy of coming out and being the charmer, coming out and trying to win people over to their side. So hence the reason he's talking about not being there emotionally for Malaya. He doesn't give a rat's ass about that. He doesn't even believe it. He's saying it because people were starting to realize that he wasn't such a wonderful person after all. People were starting to understand a bit of what Malaya was going through and starting to show a bit of sympathy for Malaya. He can't control that by coming out and attacking Malaya. So instead, he has to come out and win people back. And that's what he's trying to do.
I don't care what people think about me. I care what people think about Jack and Lily. You know, do they have big hearts? And they doing everything they can? Because when I get these hate messages, it's like, I know that they're directed at me, but I know they have a big heart.
He cares what people think about Jack and Lily. He can't even come up with the right way of saying it. It's not what people care about Jack and Lily. Or, Jack's short, but I care about that. That's okay. Oh, Lily squeals, but I care about that. That's okay. No, we care about what has happened to Jack and Lily. We care about the fact that they are missing. We care about the fact that there are 3 people who could actually make a difference in this case and are choosing not to. 3 people who know what happened to these children and are saying nothing. The way he is terming it makes it sound like, we care because we're not going to pass judgment on them as people. Because, like, you know, everyone judges a 4-year-old for being short. Sorry, a bit of sarcasm there, but it drives me nuts. I think he's also still, in his words, self-medicating. He definitely has that sort of medicated ADHD sound about him. But at the same time, given his tendency to abuse rugs, it's probably not all that's on board.
And that's why I don't say nasty things back. Because I know if they're coming at me, that means they have a big heart and they care about Jack and Lily. And that's the most important thing. It doesn't care. It doesn't bother me that they hate me. I care because they care about Jack and Lily. And that was always the main thing.
And you know those
No, it was never the main thing for him. It's never once been about Jack and Lily. It's always been about Daniel. This again is another attempt to be the nice guy. He doesn't understand exactly. He doesn't understand empathy. So he's trying to say the things that would make it sound like he is actually empathetic. But it just falls flat. Yeah. He thinks that he thinks what he's saying there makes sense. He thinks that he's coming across and saying the right things to sound empathetic. But here's the thing. A lot of people who talk about this case and who talk about Daniel's behaviours and that sort of thing, they're different from the people who send him hate messages, send him harassing messages and stuff like that. Because people who do that sort of thing, they're not good people, in my opinion. That's a sort of a level of darkness in people, that they feel that they have the power to judge. We can call Daniel out, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it comes down to if he is arrested and convicted, that's when the judgment begins. I'm in two minds. If I could be certain that the Daniel we hear in these conversations is on no other rugs and is on medication for ADHD, then the change in his tone could convince me. But the fact that he is so heavily into illegal stuff wouldn't surprise me in the least. And yeah, Fred's saying the same thing. Wouldn't surprise me in the least if he's just read up about, got this idea in his head that if you're a mathematician, that's the same as being on medication for ADHD, and he's justifying in his head his use of mathematics. I don't know. As someone who has ADHD, it really shits me off hearing him trying to use it as a shield. Trying to use it as a excuse. Because there are real struggles for people with ADHD. And when people jump on board and claim that they've got ADHD and that basically excuses them, I don't go with that. Not only that, Sky Painter, and welcome in, prolonged use of the substances that Daniel uses can actually present like ADHD. The other thing is, a qualified clinician should not be diagnosing anybody with any form of neurodivergence, ADHD, ASD, bipolar, within 12 months of them being on stuff like math and stuff like that, because that affects the wiring of their brains. You have to show ID to get Sudafed now? Wow. We have to get a script now if we want codeine and ibuprofen tablets, which are like, the heavy-duty painkillers. As someone who quite often gets problems with my neck, that's a pain in the ass. Because there can be times when my neck just goes out of whack for weeks and weeks on end. And suddenly the only thing that's going to touch it is like the ibuprofen and codeine mix. And I've got to go and get a freaking script to get it. Oh yeah, because Sudafed has got one of the ingredients in maths. And as for getting scripts for ADHD medication, every 12 months I have to have like an update with, sorry, losing my voice again. Every 12 months I have to have an update with like my specialist. The last one cost me $800. It's because of this sort of thing. I had a friend I have a friend in the United States who had a major wound and couldn't get painkillers for it because they don't do that anymore because of people like him. And I can't even begin to imagine how that would impact someone. What did he tell Taylor? I've missed something there that Sky Painter. He told Taylor something daily that he was doing. I think we're definitely dealing with narcissism, for starters. Oh, right, yep. And there you have it. If he was honest with any sort of clinician about that, they wouldn't diagnose him with ADHD. His brain is effed up from using for all that time. And given that in this interview with Sunny, he dips out so many times to apparently go to the toilet, I'm pretty certain he hasn't stopped. I was putting together some Daniel audio the other day, and what stood out to me, I don't know if I've still got the clip on my MacBook. What stood out to me was I played 2 clips back to back. And I should actually get that and do that as a YouTube short, because the rate of speech changes drastically between the 2 clips, which just highlights. Yeah, because he thinks that's what it is. Like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep on with this.
Facebook groups are just horrendous.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Horrible.
I mean, there's even a few YouTube channels that are just so overboard that they're terrible. And I think we both know who they are. But
you said you would talk about Anita.
Yeah.
So I mean, she's making some claims about Cindy never missed a day of work. That Malaya was on with child tax credit. And this is all following, according to her, Jack and Lily's disappearance. Malaya was being portrayed as that she seemed like she just didn't care.
I got really frustrated with Sunny during this interview because she checked out from Jack and Lily's case for several months. She didn't keep track of what was going on. And then she comes back and doesn't do her research about Anita to discover that this woman is full of complete utter BS. That this woman is doing nothing other than listening to content, adopting the stories of her as her own, and then basically changing the stories and making them more dramatic. So I felt that when Sunny was talking about Anita, that she was giving her validation here, which frustrated me. And I realised it's because she wasn't keeping up to date with things. But I think there's this important thing where if, as a content creator, if you take a break from a case or if you come into a case late, then you need to analyse the sources that you are looking at before you're actually talking about them in content, so that you are not perpetuating something that shouldn't be there in the first place.
That she was getting dolled up, that she was going out, and doing the most damnedest things that you wouldn't expect someone with 2 missing children to do, let alone a grandmother trade in a vehicle on a Tuesday after the children. What do you believe any of that stuff?
I know this stuff. I'll touch on the child tax credit stuff. I never had my taxes done for two years prior, right? So what was it? What would it be? 2023 and 2024. And when I didn't have my taxes done for those 2 years, when me and Malaya did common law, right? That triggered, Canada Revenue Agency to investigate it, and they removed her child tax credit, right?
Now, can I just point out too, this information was out there long before Anita started talking about it. Anything that has come out from Anita, you can track it to earlier sources. This was something that had been speculated about, but this is the first confirmation we've had directly from Daniel that he hadn't done his taxes and that Malaya lost her child tax benefit as a result. I think it might have been reported in one of the mainstream media in one of their articles. But I do recall this was something that was discussed 6 months or more ago. It was something that I kind of at the time ignored because I didn't have verification. But it's interesting hearing it directly from Daniel.
That was for 2 months prior to the disappearance, right? That's why it got triggered where she lost her child tax credit. There was no other reason other than that.
Well, okay, so in saying that, okay, so
CE Canada Revenue, I'm guessing that is fraud, failure to file income tax for 2 years. Yeah. There is always, when it comes to Daniel, there's always more to the story. Always more to the story. That's for sure. Something that I wouldn't mind going back to at one point and trying to actually wrap my head around a bit more. Oh, yeah, I'm with Bonza on that one. I honestly am not in the mood for crap. And Bonza knows my thoughts on that at the moment. So, yep. Especially after me saying that I like to keep it safe and respectful here for people. Canada Emergency Relief Fund. Okay, so is that something that people still get income from, or that's a good question. I would presume that only one person could get child tax credit, although there were rumors that he was claiming child tax credit for his 2 children and that Malaya was claiming it for Jack and Lily. Okay. Only one can claim it. Usually it's the lowest earner to maximize the payments. Got it. Wow. People do that. They scam so much. That's actually very wise. Very wise. Which makes me wonder, Because everything we've heard from, in terms of Malaya and Paddy's money, has all come from Daniel's side or from Durwood. If Malaya was getting her child tax benefit sent to Paddy's, is it not then possible that what we're hearing in terms of, Malaya spending money on Paddy's credit card, yada, 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 was actually Paddy looking after Malaya and keeping her money safe for her? Because it sounds like Paddy's no fool. And surely, I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. I would love to hear the other side of the story in terms of this story of Malaya was spending all Paddy's money. Because when you suddenly come up with that her tax benefit was going to Paddy's address, that changes how we look at things. Yeah, that's what that's one of the things that was circulating, that he was claiming for his children, which is possibly why he was trying to get full custody of them. Would she have got more money that way, Mr. Hemi? I don't really understand the ins and outs of the tax system in Canada. Okay, one parent can claim child tax credit, and you have to be the primary home, so the children have to live with you and not just visit. So he thought that by having custody of his children, he was going to get more money. Yeah, seriously. Gotta wonder what was going on with these people.
I mean, before Jack and Lily went missing, can you just be like honest and truthful about what was happening in your relationship?
Can you just be honest and truthful? Wishful thinking there, Sonny. You know the answer to that. You didn't even need to say that. That is so hilarious. Oh, that's I actually don't know about that, Karen. I'll pass on that as well, but I think it's pretty much an impossibility, complete utter impossibility. You don't think benefits should be clawed back from every low-income people in relationships? Everyone should get basic benefits. Yeah. I think when you look at the number of coercive relationships that are out there, you know how many women get stuck in abusive or coercive relationships because of finances? One of the biggest obstacles for women when it comes to getting out of a bad relationship is finances. The need to still eat when you leave. So this system that we have basically traps women who are in abusive relationships. Wow, that's kind of respectable. That's definitely kind of respectable.
prior to that? Was, because we've heard that she was, like the U-Haul was coming, that she was going to be leaving, and then she ended up not. Like, if you're being honest, was your relationship okay? Was it going south?
We can dive into that, some of that, if you like.
You know what? I mean, it's all part of it, right? I mean, like, so
it is part of it, but there's like some stuff with.
I'm just going to say that regardless of Malaya's role with whatever happened with Lily and Jack, this bit here that's coming up makes me so angry with Daniel, because he's basically putting everything back on Malaya, saying that CPS were investigating because of Malaya. That's the scary thing. We have this new alert being tested next week. I was talking about it in yesterday's live and saying that I'm concerned because my dog Taka is going to get really distressed. But they've been putting out warnings for women who have safe phones to make sure that they turn their safe phones off and leave them turned off for like 24 hours when this alert goes off, because of the risk. But sadly, that's the truth of it. We have a community page here that's, like helping the community. So often you see people posting on here who are part of, the organisations that help women who've escaped violence, and who are posting like, we've got a woman here with 2 children who's moved out and has nothing and needs help with things. And that's the other side of it too. When there's children involved, sometimes you get women who've got nowhere to go with their children. It's a frightening situation. Okay, here we go.
Not me. It doesn't involve me. It mainly involves Malaya. And it's going to be hard for me to touch on some of that. I will do it, but fewer discretion is advised, because it's, it has nothing to do with like me in a way, or but it's not like particularly pretty toward Lily and Jack. What?
He's circling for the attack. This is a strategy you haven't seen a lot with Daniel, but it is a form of gaslighting. What he's trying to do here is give the impression of, oh, I want to be careful. I don't want to really dump Malaya in, but this is so huge that I can't say it. Oh, but it's huge. Oh, but I can't say it. 100%. He is reeling it in. He's making sure the audience is paying attention. And by circling the issue, he's trying to give the impression that this is huge, this is massive, this is going to make Malaya look like the worst person in the world, so pay attention. This has got to be one of the most evil forms of manipulation that a person can do. Now, yes, if you are loyal to someone, you might kind of hint around something and move on. But that's not what he does here. He hints around it to get people's attention, and then he goes in for the strike.
Malaya's done.
Hang on. I'll just run it back a little bit.
Okay, was it going south?
We can dive into that, some of that, if you like.
You know what? I mean, it's all part of it, right? I mean, like, so
It is part of it, but there's like some stuff with not me. It doesn't involve me. It mainly involves Malaya. And it's going to be hard for me to touch on some of that. I will do it, but fewer discretion is advised because it's, you know, it has nothing to do with like me in a way, or but it's not like particularly pretty toward Lily and Jack what Malay has done. It has nothing to do with the disappearance, but just Lily and Jack in general. I know it will shock the public when some people know and some people don't.
Pausing again, he would have liked to have let people think that this thing that he's talking about with Malaya had everything to do with the disappearance. But he also knows that there's limitations because it's going to come back and bite him on the ass. If he comes out and outwardly accuses Malaya, then that could trigger her coming out and basically spilling the beans and saying what happened. He knows that he's got to be careful. He also knows that she has made complaints to CPS about him. He doesn't want to give her any more ammunition to use against him with CPS. So as much as he would like to throw her in the deep end, he's going to hint at it and then move away from it in that instance. Oh, I know. Everything's a movie for Daniel. It's his way of hinting at it being so traumatic, so bad that it'll just blow your brain. You know, so horrible. Yeah, you know, maybe if he was born in the United States, he would be a famous actor by now. Oh dear.
But I'm willing to dive into that, and CPS is already aware of this, and there's a reason why Malaya doesn't have Meadowback, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can dive into some of that in a minute, but you're going to have to let me go run to the bathroom so I can pee first. Yeah, I'm back now.
Of course he is. Yeah. He's a chameleon. And that's the thing that we've got to take into account here. Every time he comes out and does an interview, he steps into a different role. He's been trying to be Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Empathy, but Sonny asked a question that led him down the road of, now I can really gaslight Malaya in the worst possible way. He's very performative. Yeah. Precisely. I strongly believe the baby was taken off Malaya because he set her up for that to happen. When you listen to the different versions from the different people connected to the case, 100%, it sounds to me that the baby was taken away from her because of him. Oh, yeah. There's several instances where Daniel says things which actually make it pretty clear that she does have an RO against him. He will deny it. Anytime there's any sort of hint of it, he denies it. But I have no doubt whatsoever. I had heard that she was having visits at her home. Whether they're supervised or not is a different question. Set her up. I believe when you listen to, and I've done a few videos on this, when you listen to Durwood's account, when you listen to Daniel's account, when you listen to Logan's account, it sounds to me that basically Durwood set things up at Paddy's to make sure that Hayden overheard him suggesting something. Now, he has said that outright. And I think he actually made a suggestion in terms of maybe that Daniel was going to head to Cindy's place or something. Because he says that then that the person that was listening, which we know now was Hayden, contacted Malaya and told her something which triggered her to take off with the baby. Now, the flip side of that is we get Daniel talking about how Durwood contacted him and said Malaya was unsupervised, and he rang her because she was unsupervised. And he claims she was in the car. And then he's talking about ringing the RCMP because she's doing a runner with the baby. And he claims that he tried to call CPS, but they were closed, but it was Cindy that dobbed her in, which if they were closed, Cindy wouldn't have been able to dob her in either. And then you also get Durwood saying how as soon as CPS took the baby, Logan was like, I'm going to go in there and get custody of her now. And now I'm doing that in a very Cliff Notes version. I think if you go back over some of the content I've done, there's a more precise version of that where I've gone through all the audio and gone through it very meticulously to show exactly that. But it really does seem like Durwood and Daniel set it up in a way that CPS would take the baby off her, and they believed the baby was going to end up with Logan, and it backfired. I'm not going to put that one up about Wade and Anita because anything that comes from Anita is really not verifiable. And in terms of Anita's claims of being involved with this instance of Malaya fleeing to the reserve, I just want to point out that happened 6 weeks after Lily and Jack went missing. That happened mid-June. I think it was June 18th or 19th. Why is this significant in relation to Anita? Because Anita even though she's vague about how long she was at Cindy's for, the longest period she's ever offered up is that she was there for a week. We've heard other versions of it that she might have been there for like a few hours babysitting the baby. But we know that she was only there for, at the most, a week. She claims that she was there from the Sunday after Lily and Jack went missing. If you do the math, from May the 4th to June the 18th, that's not a week. So if she's quite adamantly saying she was there straight after Lily and Jack went missing, then she could not have been there when Malaya did a runner with the baby. Yeah, Anita is full of shit. There's so many different versions. In terms of Jack and Lily, I think the only thing that in terms of that situation that matters is just the fact that we are getting the manipulation from Daniel and Durwood, and the fact that the baby has been put into care of CPS. But we don't know the full situation. So we need to be very careful about, how we're looking at it, I guess, and in terms of what we're believing. Anyway, a bit more of this.
Yeah.
Because I heard Anita also make a comment that Malaya, like, it's kind of like someone that has like a up and down personality, that she said she could be like really dark,
extremely out of nowhere.
Just honestly, as a mother, would you deem Malaya as a decent mother, or that was she just going through issues and wasn't taking care of the kids?
Okay, before she goes any further, I just want to, I think this is one of the things that really frustrates me about this part of the conversation, because the things that Scam Nita was repeating here, that Sunny is now saying, are basically things that Daniel pushed out himself. So Anita has successfully perpetuated Daniel's BS stories, because she's heard them being discussed previously. We've all heard them previously being discussed. But apparently some people who follow some channels don't actually pay attention to anything in relation to the case and think that things that Anita comes out with are brand new bits of information. But this stuff about saying that, she's got a dark side, etc., that came directly from Daniel originally. Clearly, it's been shared on Facebook accounts, because I know that a lot of the stuff that Anita was coming out is stuff that she read on Facebook. So she has then come out and shared it and claimed that this is what she's observed from being at Cindy's place, when in actual fact she's just been repeating what Daniel has been putting out there. And now Sunny is bringing it back to Daniel, who's giving it credibility by saying, yes, that's true. When all that's happened here is the circle has the story has gone full circle. Of course he's going to say, yes, it's true, Malaya has a dark side, because he's the one that started it. Thank you. Yeah, Malaya did tell Belinda that she was believed she was protecting the baby from CPS. But certainly this, exactly, and this is what has happened here. Daniel has come out, I think it was in messages to Sunny. It was either to Sunny or the girlfriend. But there are messages out there where Daniel accused Malaya of having a dark side. Anita's run with that. She's put that out as a story of, I've seen this, I've observed this. And now, unfortunately, Sunny has heard Anita say that, and she's come back to Daniel for verification. Anita said that she's observed this in Malaya. Do you agree? Of course he agrees, because he's the one that started that story in the first place. It's horrible. Yeah. It's the stuff that's going on in this case. It's just sickening. It really is. Yeah, you can't point out the misinformation or you get blocked. Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. I think if you push someone hard enough, they're going to show you their dark side. Because people can only take so much. You mean the ones when she was 16? Because there's videos of her when she was 14 and videos of her when she was 16. Yep. Everybody has a breaking point. And it's the ones that are the most tolerant that sometimes when they break, you want to run like hell. Because they're the ones that can really show a dark side. And that's not because they're bad people. That's because if you push someone hard enough, sooner or later, it's going to bite you in the ass, and it's going to bite you in the ass so hard. Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but that makes sense too, because if she left Cindy's because of Malaya's dark side, then she couldn't have been there when Malaya took the baby to the reserve. That still guts me. I can't remember whether it was Gabby's mother or her stepmother, one of her mothers, because, you know, she was blessed with 2 mothers and 2 fathers who loved her dearly. One of her mothers said they cannot watch that footage. I can remember how absolutely irate I was after seeing that body cam footage. Seeing all the signs there of the abuse with Gabby and Brian. And what do? They put Brian up in a freaking hotel room and leave Gabby to sleep in the car overnight. They protected the offender. And you know what the hardest part with that situation with Gabby Petito? They said that according to protocols, they would actually have to have arrested both Gabby and Brian. And then they would have had to have had a court appearance. When you look at how fragile Gabby was right then and there at that traffic stop, had they carried through and arrested her and separated her from Brian because of an arrest, I believe that would have pushed her to the point of reaching out to one of her parents. And just maybe that could have been the turning point. That was a problem. They treated her like the aggressor. That was the incident in Utah, in Moab. I don't think I could ever watch it again because it's soul destroying. She was so distraught, and the things that she was saying, she was standing there or sitting there taking the blame for all of it. Anyone with half a brain could see what was going on, could see that he had destroyed her self-esteem to the point where she needed to apologize for everything, to the point where she did feel like it was all her fault. And they took that as her admitting to being the aggressor when it was the complete opposite. He was doing all those things like, and the OCD, why do you think that was happening? Because he was working so hard to undermine her. When you listen to the things that she's saying, there were things that he was telling her to undermine her and make her feel worthless. And because of that, she sat there and she said it was all her fault. She downplayed his role in it. She excused his behaviours. She had an excuse for all his behaviours. Oh, he did this because of me. Yeah. Not just apologising for it, but saying that he did it because of what she did, basically, that she had caused it. It was her fault that he slapped her in the face in the first place. And they didn't pick up on that. I think every person with half a brain that watched that was horrified seeing the way that ended. Yeah. It's one of the most disturbing things to watch. She did. He made her believe that it was her fault. Even down to, she's talking about that she was spending time at like a bakery or a cafe or something working on her blog. And you can tell by the way she talks about it, even the way he talks about it, that he had spent his time diminishing it, devaluing it, make it seem like a worthless project that she should not have been doing. Making her feel guilty because she wanted more time on the internet to finish working on her blog, and he wanted to get moving. He undermined every single bit of her being. She's a classic example of what I was talking about in the video yesterday. He was her abuser, but he was also her safe place. That's why she was pleading for them to not separate them that night. Because emotionally, she was in crisis. She needed crisis support then and there. Because she was in crisis. They didn't offer any help with that. They didn't even recognize it. Instead, they separated her from her safe person. And I believe that they actually did get back together that night. They weren't supposed to, but I do believe that they did get back together that night. I believe that's what happened. I think that was actually verified, like with a lot of the files that came out afterwards. Pretty certain that she was supposed to sleep in the van, but I believe that she actually went to the hotel. They were going to make her sleep in the van. So they were separating her from her safe person, who was also her abuser, and expecting her to sleep alone in a van in a place that she was not familiar with. What else was she going to do? Like, it's just so heartbreaking watching those body cam videos, because They did everything wrong. They did everything that they could have possibly done wrong. Yeah, just reading through. Just reading people's comments here. I think there are changes that have been made since Gabby's case because of the screw-ups by the Moab Police Department. One of the things I said at the time was that aside from the desperate need for training for police officers, there should be social workers available who can be called in with cases like this. Separate the couple and call in a social worker and recognise that in separating someone who's in a relationship like what Gabby and Brian's relationship was, that you are potentially removing them from their safe person, which if they're in crisis could make things so much worse for them. It just could escalate things. Yeah, it seems to be thankfully taking on worldwide because we've got it here in Australia. It is now in Canada. But I think there needs to be far greater public awareness, especially with first responders, to recognise the signs of abuse, of coercive control, and to understand the impact of the choices they make as law enforcement in those situations. Yep, there is now the Gabby Petito Foundation, which her parents have established, and it is to educate and help people who are in these sorts of relationships. They also they did do a lawsuit against the Moab Police Department, and they said from the get-go it wasn't about the money. It was about making change. And that, unfortunately, that lawsuit failed. But it certainly raised awareness. I think where are we? There is so much of a gap in knowledge. There's so much lack of understanding. And I think around the time that Gabby died, there was so much awareness all of a sudden. There was so much discussion over the issues of coercive control, DV, all those sorts of things. And I think, because it's been like, I think 4 or 5 years since Gabby died. And I think it's something that there's a lot of people now who don't know Gabby's case. And the awareness, the push for awareness is kind of moving back onto the back burner a bit again. But yeah, definitely there needs to be much more awareness and understanding. Anyway, I've got so far from talking about Daniel right now, but it is something that I think is an important issue. And I'm so passionate about Gabby Petito's case because there were so many mistakes, so many failings. I mean, Northport Police sitting there watching the house with Brian camping out, and he casually gets in a car and drives off, and they think it's his mother and they just let him go. So many failures. Oh, okay. Amira says it's time for me to finish too. Apparently she's awake and she's ready to go out. Anyway, I know it's been all over the place today. I will try to get the squirrels a little bit more contained tomorrow. Although sometimes, I love these discussions that we have, but I also recognise that there are people that become extremely frustrated with me when they've come here to talk about Lily and Jack and I've been all over the place. So I do apologise for that profusely. Definitely time for me to wrap it up. So thanks for coming in. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. It really does help out a lot. Also, if you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. And if you're listening on replay, or even if you're just listening to the live stream and you've got more you want to say, please do leave a comment, because all those sort of interactions are the things that help me get this content out there into the algorithm. So on that note, thank you, and I'll catch you in the next one.